You ever get that feeling when someone knocks on your door and you just know it's not going to be good news? Yeah, that's exactly how it started. It was a crisp October afternoon, orange leaves, pumpkin spice in the air, kids riding bikes in costumes that were definitely too early for Halloween. My wife and I were in the backyard, sipping coffee by the pool, peaceful, perfect. Then came the knock. Three sharp taps, authoritative, like the kind of knock that doesn't ask permission. It assumes ownership, I sighed. That's a Karen knock, I muttered. And I was right. Standing there, wearing her signature beige cardigan and the same pinched smile she used for HOA meetings, was Julie Christopher, the neighborhood's self-appointed queen of order and laminated rules. Good afternoon, Max, she began, holding a clipboard that looked like it contained the Constitution of the United States, or at least the HOA version of it. Lovely day, isn't it? I said, smiling politely. What can I do for you, Julie? She stepped forward, eyes drifting over my backyard, the pool shimmering, fake cobwebs dancing on the fence, a few inflatable pumpkins floating in the water. Her lips tightened. Well, she began, as you know, the HOA hosts our annual Halloween extravaganza every year. It's our community's most anticipated event. I nodded slowly, remembering last year's extravaganza, lukewarm cider, one karaoke machine, and 3 toddlers crying because the candy table ran out halfway through. Julie smiled wider, the kind of smile that usually means a favor's coming. This year, she said dramatically, we've decided it would be perfect to host it right here, at your pool. I blinked. My pool? Yes, your backyard is so spacious, so photogenic. And of course, since the HOA represents the community, it's really just everyone's pool, isn't it? I raised an eyebrow. Julie, it's not. It's literally in my backyard. Behind my fence, the one I built with my own money. She waved her hand like she was brushing away a silly technicality. Oh, details. You wouldn't really deny the neighborhood, would you? It's for the community spirit, Max. Now, here's the thing about Julie. She doesn't ask, she announces. And this announcement came with a follow-up email 2 hours later titled, Official HOA Halloween Pool Party, hosted by Max and family, with a cheerful pumpkin emoji. My wife stared at the email, mouth open. Max, she's serious. Oh, she's more than serious, I said, sipping my coffee. She's organized. Flyers started showing up on doors the next morning. Some neighbors even waved and said, hey, thanks for hosting, man. I smiled back, yeah, sure, anytime. But inside, I was already planning something far better than a confrontation. Because when someone claims your pool without asking, you don't yell, you don't argue, you let irony do the talking. By the next morning, my pool had become the talk of the cul-de-sac. I couldn't even water my plants without someone walking by and saying, heard about the party, Max, you'll need a bigger snack table. Or can't wait to swim, hope you've got heaters for my pool. The one I wasn't even invited to use during this so-called community event. I just nodded, smiled, and said, oh, it's going to be unforgettable, trust me. Meanwhile, my wife, Clara, bless her, was trying to make sense of it all. Max, are we actually letting her do this? She asked while scrolling through the HOA Facebook group, where Julie had already posted. Exciting news, our HOA Halloween bash will be held at Max Williams' pool. Bring your swimsuits, snacks, and spirit of togetherness, sure. The same woman who fined me last summer because our law didn't align with the community's aesthetic now wanted to use my private property for a pool party. Claire frowned, this is insane, she didn't even ask permission. She just announced it. Oh, I know, I said, grinning. It's her favorite hobby, announcing things that don't concern her. We watched as Julie spent the afternoon marching up and down the street, clipboard in hand, coordinating the party. She barked orders at volunteers. Make sure the banner says HOA Halloween at Max's. Yes, exactly like that. Do we have orange balloons or just the tacky black ones from last year? At one point, she even came by to inspect the venue. Clipboard in hand, she leaned over the fence like a real estate agent appraising property. she said thoughtfully, you may need to trim those hedges before the event. They block visibility from the street. Safety hazard, you know. I just smiled. Visibility? You mean privacy? She chuckled tightly. Oh, Max, don't be silly. Privacy is a community concept. Clara mouthed to me. What does that even mean? I shrug. It means she's lost it. That night, I sat by the pool again, staring at the reflection of my Halloween lights dancing in the water. I imagined a crowd of people splashing around here while I sat trapped inside my own house, watching from behind the curtains like a prisoner in my own yard. Nope, not happening. I wasn't about to argue, though. Arguing with Julie was like arguing with a customer service chatbot. You'd get polite words, but no logic. Instead, I leaned back, took a sip of my drink, and said out loud, if she wants the pool that bad. A slow grin spread across my face. She can have it. Just not the way she expects. 2 days before the big HOA Halloween pool bash, my backyard had become ground zero for neighborhood gossip. Julie was buzzing around like a queen bee, checking in with everyone about decorations, pool access, and safety supervision. She even left a handwritten note taped to my front door. It read, Max, I'll need access to your backyard Saturday morning to set up tables and speakers. Please ensure the pool gate is unlocked by 9 a.m. sharp. Julie HOA president, the confidence of that woman could power a city. Claire read it aloud twice, then looked at me. She actually expects you to unlock the gate? Oh, I'll unlock something, I said, smiling. That night, I stood by the pool under the soft glow of the porch lights. The water shimmered calm and blue, like a secret waiting to be shared. I ran my hand along the filter valve and chuckled. Sorry, old friend, I whispered to the pool, you're about to go dry for a good cause. With a twist of a wrench and a quiet gurgle of water rushing away, the plan was in motion. The pool started draining, slowly but steadily, like a countdown to poetic justice. By morning, half the water was gone. By midday, it was a shiny blue crater with a few sad pool floats lying on the bottom, a rubber duck, a pumpkin ring, and a lone beach ball that read good vibes only. Claire peeked out the back window. Oh my god, Max, you actually did it. Yep, I said, sipping my coffee proudly. She wanted the pool, she's got it, just without the water. Julie, however, didn't notice the change right away. She was too busy parading through the neighborhood, hyping the big event. That evening, though, as she walked by my house and caught a glimpse through the fence, I heard her screech. It was the kind of sound you'd expect from someone who just saw a ghost or, in her case, a drained pool. She stomped up to the door and rang the bell furiously. I opened it slowly, pretending to be confused. Julie, evening, you look pale, Max? She snapped, pointing dramatically toward the backyard. What on earth happened to the pool? I raised an eyebrow. Pool. Oh, you mean my pool? I decided to drain it. Maintenance issue. Didn't want any accidents during your event. Maintenance issue. You can't just drain it. The whole neighborhood is expecting a pool party. Well, I said calmly, they'll still have a party. Just on a slightly different surface level. Her eyes widened. You did this on purpose. Julie, I said with mock sincerity, you can't seriously believe I would sabotage a community event. I'm heartbroken, really, she sputtered, her face turning the color of a ripe tomato. You will refill it immediately. Oh, I would love to, I said, glancing toward the dark pit behind me. But with the holiday weekend coming up, the water company's probably booked solid. You know how it is. Julie's jaw clenched. This is unacceptable. You're ruining the HOA's biggest event. I smiled politely. Technically, Julie, you're trying to host it in my yard, which makes it my biggest event, and I decided to go with a dry theme this year. She stormed off, muttering something about calling the board and violating community trust. Claire came out, laughing so hard she nearly dropped her coffee. Max, she's going to explode before Halloween even arrives. Let's hope she doesn't do it near the empty pool. I said. That fall would be symbolic. Halloween morning rolled around like a parade of chaos waiting to happen. The cul-de-sac looked like a festival, orange and purple streamers across fences, fog machines puffing, and kids already running around in plastic masks. The only thing missing, water. My backyard sat there proudly, a giant, echoing, empty pool. I had even gone the extra mile and turned it into a dry, haunted pit. Plastic skeletons lay scattered at the bottom, fake caution tape wrapped across the edge, and a big sign read, "Pool closed, ghosts under repair." Even Clara admitted, "Okay, this is hilarious." I grinned, just trying to be festive. Around noon, Julie arrived, clipboard, whistle, and fury all in one package. Her face went from Halloween orange to "How dare you" read into seconds flat. "Max William," she barked from the sidewalk, already drawing a small crowd. "You will undo this nonsense right now." I stepped out, calm as ever, holding a pumpkin mug of cider. "Morning, Julie, happy Halloween, this is vandalism," she shouted, waving her clipboard like a sword. "You destroyed HOA property." Property? I tilted my head. "You mean my pool?" "Don't play games with me, Max. The entire community was counting on this." "I'm sure they can count somewhere else," I said, sipping my drink. At that point, a few neighbors were trying very hard not to laugh. One of them whispered, "She really thought it was her pool?" Julie's face twitched. "That's it, I'm calling the police." Claire gasped slightly. "She's not serious." "Oh, she's serious," I said, watching Julie march off, phone in hand like a soldier heading into battle. 20 minutes later, a patrol car rolled up. 2 officers stepped out, looking mildly curious and already entertained by the crowd that had gathered. Julie ran up to them, arms flailing. "Officers, he's vandalized community property and ruined our event." One of the officers, a tall guy with a kind smile, raised an eyebrow. "Community property?" "Yes," Julie said, pointing at the empty pool dramatically. "This was supposed to be the HOA Halloween pool party. He drained it on purpose to humiliate me." The second officer looked over the fence at the empty pool with plastic skeletons lying inside and burst out laughing. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said between chuckles, "but that's his backyard, that's his pool." Julie froze. "What? No, it's part of the neighborhood aesthetic." "Ma'am," the officer said, still trying not to laugh, "aesthetic isn't ownership. You can't host a party on someone's property without permission. That's actually trespassing." The crowd giggled. Someone even whispered, "Oh, this is better than Netflix." Julie's jaw dropped. "But he can't." The first officer turned to me. "Sir, is this your pool?" "Yes, sir," I said casually, "and as you can see, it's temporarily out of order." Haunted spirits, you know, that got a small laugh from the officer. "Right, well, I think we're done here." He turned to Julie. "Ma'am, you'll need to cancel the event or move it somewhere else." Julie looked like she'd just bitten into a lemon. "This is an outrage." "Happy Halloween," I said cheerfully as she stormed off, muttering something about reporting this to the higher board, which, as far as I know, doesn't exist. The officers walked back to their car, one of them chuckling. "That's a first for me, getting called for an empty pool." As they drove off, I leaned against the fence, watching the neighborhood buzz fade into amused whispers. Sometimes justice doesn't need yelling or fighting, just a little water control. By the time the sun dipped below the rooftops, the neighborhood had settled into an uneasy peace, the kind that comes after a storm, or in this case, after an HOA meltdown. The annual Halloween pool bash had been officially relocated to the community parking lot. Someone dragged out a few folding tables, a portable speaker, and a cooler full of juice boxes. It was underwhelming. From my backyard, I could hear faint Halloween music echoing down the street, Monster Mash fighting a losing battle against the awkward silence between neighbors who didn't know where to look after Julie's scene earlier. I sat by my now bone-dry pool, feet dangling into the shallow and where fake skeletons lay smiling up at me. Claire came out carrying 2 mugs of cocoa and sat beside me. So she said, "You're officially the villain of the HOA. Yeah, I said, sipping. And I didn't even have to dress up. She laughed. I don't think Julie's ever going to live this down. Half the neighborhood saw the cops laughing at her. Oh, I'm sure she tried to spin it, I said. Probably say she allowed me to drain the pool as a safety measure. We clinked mugs to safety measures. From where we sat, the scene was absurdly peaceful, fog drifting across the empty pool, Jacko, lanterns glowing faintly along the fence, and a giant inflatable ghost bobbing in the evening breeze. A few neighborhood kids wandered over to peek at the haunted pit, and I waved them in. Careful, I said with mock seriousness. There's a skeleton down there who still owes the HOA his dues. They giggled, tossed in some candy wrappers as offerings, and ran off. Julie didn't come by that night. For someone who usually thrived on being seen, she'd gone suspiciously quiet after the cops left. Rumor had it, she'd tried to complain to the HOA board, only to have 3 other members remind her that you can't host an event on private property without permission. Irony, as it turns out, travels faster than water. The following week, I received a letter from the HOA, printed on official letterhead, naturally, stating, "Dear Mr. William, the HOA apologizes for any misunderstanding regarding the recent Halloween event. In the future, no board member will organize activities on privately owned property without explicit consent. Sincerely, the HOA board." No signature from Julie, of course. I framed it and hung it in the garage, right above the hose. As days passed, neighbors started stopping by to talk about it, not in judgment, but in quiet amusement. Man, one of them said, chuckling, "You didn't just drain a pool. You drained her ego." I laughed, "Nah, just cleared out some bad energy." Julie, meanwhile, became noticeably less assertive. She still sent her monthly reminders about approved decorations and holiday lighting hours, but her tone had softened. Almost human a week later, she even walked by and gave a polite little wave. I waved back, smiling, "Afternoon, Julie. Pool's still available if you ever want to hold a dry meeting." She forced a smile and kept walking. That night, as I sat by the refilled pool, yes, I finally filled it again, the reflection of orange lights shimmered across the surface. Claire came out, wrapping her arms around me. "You know," she said, "most people would have yelled, argued, or sent angry emails." "Yeah," I said, grinning at the water, "but sometimes silence and a little irony makes the biggest splash." The breeze rustled the pumpkins, a single plastic skeleton floated lazily by, as if nodding in agreement. And just like that, Halloween ended. No screaming, no shouting, no HOA victory. Just peace and an empty pool story the neighborhood would never forget.